Hey guys, welcome to Revamp, the podcast, where we are revamping the way adults do life. I'm your host, Felicia Creighton.
And I'm your co-host, Andrea Creighton. Let's get into today's topic.
So we're finally doing this. We have a podcast.
This has been a lot. No, we've been planning this for
Since 2019.
2019.
When I was going to move home from Dallas, I had an idea of revamp, and it was the way women did life, essentially. And I wanted to get women together, and we meet up, and we were struggling with making friends as adults. And so I'm like, we got to figure out how to get women in this age bracket. So that was the original idea of Revamp.
And then also I feel like another big core of Revamp was we have these extra long conversations on the phone.
Yes.
Right? And so we're talking for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on the regular. And we would always pause and say, other people need to be a part of this conversation. I really feel like they would, get a lot out of it.
The gems. Mm-hmm. We literally dropped gems. And I'm like, wait a minute. Somebody needs to hear what's going on here.
Gems.
So I wanted to start off this complete episode with, do you like you? Because I feel like that is something that we talk about on the phone. We're always on Instagram. We're seeing friends of ours struggle with this topic. And people in general struggle with the topic of, do they like themselves? And I know we both watched Dr. Miles Monroe. Love him.
Love him.
And
excellent teacher.
Transformed purpose, vision for my life. I know he did the same for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there was a clip and he was like, you can't even spend time with yourself. And this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I watched it and I was like, yikes, that's me. I started to look inward. I'm like, I can't go to dinner by myself. I can't go to lunch by myself. I would never go to a movie by myself. I just think, especially on what I call universal date night. So Friday, Saturday nights,
do not go by yourself.
Not you going
Your heart is thumping. Everyone's looking at you.
Everyone's holding hands and they're all lovey-dovey, and here I am. So I'm like, when he said that, I'm thinking, do I like myself? Because I'm having a hard time sitting still with Felicia. So that kind of is what prompted this. And
he made another good point in that teaching. He was saying even when you are alone, you have to have music. You have to have something playing.
Oh,
and
that was,
And he was like, do you know how to just sit still and be with yourself? And I was thinking, ooh.
I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I was struggling. And like I said, 4 or 5 years ago. So I was like, how can I overcome that in my life? What are some things that I can do? And it took me a minute. And so for me, how I always, whenever, I feel like it was almost like when I started my fitness journey, you kind of have to just do it. So I thought, let me just sit with myself and just see. Let me not watch television, even though I'm not a big TV buff, I'm not a movie person. Let me just sit with Felicia and let me just sit in silence. And I literally started off, this is years ago, I never told anyone this actually. I sat in increments of 30 minutes. Just nothing, no phone, no nothing, 45 minutes.
I bet that was really strange.
It was very awkward because I'm like, okay, but I'm like, I love myself, trying to court, but I'm like, this is not what he was meaning. It was just being able to be present, be still, be one with the Father in those moments. Because I'm like, I have to lean on something. This is awkward, just the silence. So that's kind of how I started about 4 or 5 years ago. But do you feel like you've ever gone through that transition? Do you feel like you've ever?
Yeah, I felt like that particular teaching, and then when we had a conversation about it, that one, maybe it allowed me to be aware of it.
Yeah.
But then when I started becoming aware and started backtracking, I'm thinking, I really am never alone. Yeah. I always have my calendar book, if it's a lunch, if it's a dinner, if it's an activity. Primarily, it was really even in relationships.
Well, I was
always in relationships. So I call myself a serial dater.
Yes.
So I was one. And so listening to that teaching or, our conversation with that sparked it you don't know how to be alone. It was kind of a very scary instance to feel like I can't go to a restaurant or movies, or I can't go for a walk in the park by myself. And so that's when I really started to become aware, recognize it, and then start taking those baby steps. Like you were saying, spend 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Spend 30 minutes. Maybe increase that to, okay, a whole day. I'm just going to shut down. I'm just going to be with me, and just really try to see what do I like about me.
Yeah. So do you feel like there has been a time in your life, and it can be from any age, that you just struggled with liking Andrea?
Yeah, I would say that. And I think it kind of goes into, I know we've talked about this before, but it's like that inner conversation that you have with yourself where you're so hard on you.
Yeah.
And so you think about it, we do talk to a lot of different people,
Yeah.
but the person that we hear from the most is us.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
and we're
true.
always like, if you're always negative, everyone may not have this experience, but from my point of view, I was always really negative. Like, for instance, let's say I'm driving.
Yeah.
Someone, I make a mistake. Oh, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? That's so dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like, even for those that are watching, if you just take a moment and think about it, think about how you talk to you.
Yeah.
And that will tell you if you like you or dislike you.
I guess that leads me to my next question. What do you believe some of the signs were that, like, hey, I'm outside of like talking negatively? What other signs, if someone was like, I don't know if I like myself, like what signs would you say?
I think it was the desperation to be around other people.
Oh, that's good.
You see what I'm saying? It's just like, I want to be around other people. And then also I noticed I was almost what people would consider a sponge.
Yeah.
Where when I would get around other people, I would just form into them.
Yeah.
That's a deeper issue. You don't like you. If every circle, every person you come around, you just form into them, you don't value what you bring to the table and who you are. And so those were some of the indications when I started to kind of look back. It's like, oh, that's an issue. That's something I need to really pay attention to. Like, do you like you?
My turning point was discovering that I was introverted. But when I got out in public, everybody deemed me as an extrovert because I'm going to be the life of the party. Mm-hmm. But I knew I didn't love myself in a way that I could just sit with myself, because even when I didn't want to go do those things, I felt like I had to go. And I said, there's a problem here. You don't want to be alone so bad that even the things you don't want to do, you're forcing yourself to do because you're more, you would much rather be, but you don't like being with you so much. You're going against who you kind of are.
And it's a prison, you know, that it's like that people bondage where
you're trapped
right
into like, I have to do this. So, it leads me to my next thing. Do you believe social media plays a role in people not liking themselves in this day and age?
Absolutely. Right? Because I know social media started with the premise of, hey, we're just going to share life and you're going to connect to people that you're not normally maybe in near proximity. Yeah. And then it kind of led to this space we're in now where your value and your worth is attached to the likes and the comments and the followers, right? Yeah. And so it basically is implying that everyone else, society, the people that are following you, they're going to determine what is likable.
Yes.
And I've known people, they'll post something and it's like, oh, that didn't get a lot of likes. Or I lost followers behind it. Let me delete
it. Yeah.
So it's in a way, it's detaching you from you.
Yes.
Because I just want to be attached to what is likable by the standards of people. Here it is that I don't know and they don't know.
And so here's what we always, that's good. Here's what we always talk about over the phone, because I feel like this is the disconnect in relationships. You have these people who are meeting on social platforms and they're seeing pictures, versions, and this is a tiny version. I feel like people give maybe 3 to 5% of themselves on social media, if that. And so you're seeing this, and in reality, the person may be very introverted. They don't talk a lot.
Oh, I see that all the time.
But the pictures exude a whole different personality. So you have where it's like, in the world of, I'm a baddie, I look great, and maybe this, or whatever, it doesn't look, whatever. And you get to know them and you're thinking, you don't align with your Instagram.
At all.
And so you're wondering why all this ghosting is happening. Yeah. Because it's like, I thought you were one way. I don't know how to verbally tell you, I thought you were like the girl on Instagram or the guy on Instagram, and you're not. You're not this person. And I feel like there's that disconnect. And that's why we see this huge issue with ghosting and not wanting to, tell anybody like, hey, it's just that you're not aligning with what I saw versus who you are.
And even I would say, to add to that, is even how we are like with the filters.
Yes.
Oh, right? It used to be the filters was just a little bit of an enhancement. And now we notice it's creating a complete different look.
Your nose is not your nose.
Right. And I think I struggled with that as well. It was just like, I want to look like this. But it made me to realize we talked about this. It was like we had to go back and say, hey, let's take these filters off.
No, you know what it is? What actually happened, David, when I used to have, I don't have one anymore because I'm an adult, but I used to have a Snapchat, and David literally said, hey, are you ever going to post your face? This is my little brother. And I was like, and I was so irritated because I'm thinking like, I'm living my life. This is what you do. But it's like, no, you're doing that because you want to hide. At the time my skin was horrific. And so I didn't feel comfortable in my skin, because my skin wasn't great. But anyways, it just kind of sparked me. I'm like, yeah, you never show your face. So if someone were to meet you, I don't come with a halo of flowers on my head. Like
they're gonna walk right past you. They're gonna walk
because I'm
don't looking for the girl with the halo
of flowers, or I'm looking for the girl with the dog tongue, right? Because we were all doing that for a while. And where's that girl? She's not around because I don't have a doggy nose with ears. And I just was thinking, it is funny. I can laugh about it now, but at the time when he told me, I'm thinking like, I'm so irritated. But it's a true sentiment. I'm like, I've got to hold off on that, which sparked me into what I do now, holistic, and I'm cleaning up my skin. But it's just really like, we have to decide, we have to sit with ourselves. Do I like my face?
Right.
Do I like my nose? And again, another quote from Miles Monroe, it's like, God made you this way for a particular reason.
For a reason.
There's a reason. And that really, like, because my nose was a big thing for years when I was a child. And, someone used to say I had a witch nose. And so I was like, if I could just get the tip of just insane things. But when I heard him say that, it sparked me. I look this way for a particular reason, and I'm discovering it now more and more as I'm getting older. But that's why I'm like, don't start enhancing things that God created, because he created everything for good.
It's for good. And it's, I think I was going to ask you that, what are the steps to begin to like yourself and maybe move into evolving into loving, what God has created?
I think the first step is sitting with you. And I think you cannot do this alone. No matter what anyone tells you, you're going to have to do this in a partnership with God.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't know another way to tell. I don't know a book to tell you to read outside of, and, going to him and saying, God, why did you create me? I had to have a real conversation. Why did you make my nose? Why is why is my back bigger than most girls? I was a cheerleader, so I was very weird about my body growing up because everyone was a pencil and I had thick thighs, and I was like, but I was eating Big Macs, I was eating,
were you really?
Yeah, we were eating, Granddad used to, no, Whoppers.
Oh, Whoppers, Burger King.
Yeah.
I don't think we were
10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night.
No, I don't think so.
Andrea.
Was it?
We were eating
Okay.
those Whoppers. We were living our best life with no shoes on in the back of that truck.
I think, that may be a little exaggerated.
We're from Alabama.
I got you.
So,
but,
yeah, we were in, so we were doing that. But that was the reason why we were, I was looking. But that was a big deal. And it took me to get to the age of 30. I will say that. And I don't want people to wait to that age to start really deciding, like, I'm here looking this way for a reason. But I could not do that outside of God.
No, that's so true. Like, we serve an intentional God. And so when we're in relationship with the Father, I think that's where I started as well.
So step one.
Yes, step one, I'm like, Lord, highlight why you made me the way that I am.
Bingo.
Because I know the truth of your word says that everything you made was good.
Yeah.
It's not, it was good. And then, matter of fact, when he got to humans, he said it was very good.
Yeah.
So help me to be aware and appreciate how you made me in a unique way. You said that you knit me together. If you've ever seen anyone knit, it's very intentional.
Yeah.
They're not doing that in a lot of different things at the same time. He said, I formed you together. I did this and I made you unique.
Yeah.
And so I hated my voice. I'm like, I used to hate hearing recordings about my voice. I'm like, just delete it. But I remember when I first got into ministry and started ministering and speaking, I always change up my look. I always change my hair and things of nature, and people may not recognize me. And I walked past this girl and I said, hey, how are you? She said, oh, I almost didn't know you. She said, but I recognize your voice.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
good.
And it was those type of things where I'm like, God, the very thing that I don't like is what you're using.
Yeah.
For your glory. You're using this. And so a lot of the things that we don't like about and a lot of times we don't like it. Why? Going back to the societal pressures. I was
just going to say societal norms.
People have joked on it. Yep. They've made fun of, which I know it's been like a little saying growing up, but hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
These are people that don't like themselves.
Yeah.
And they try to point out something that they think that you're insecure in.
Yeah.
And so that's why you find your security in Jesus Christ. You allow Jesus, you allow your relationship with the Father to highlight all that is good.
Yeah.
I think that's Philemon 1:6. It says the acknowledging of every good thing.
Yeah.
It makes faith work. So, man, I it's not that I'm just over consumed with me, but I just love what God created.
That's right. So I mean, step one, and I hate to say maybe the only step, because again, is really building that relationship with Christ. And it's not hard. You just start talking to him. You ask the questions that you're asking yourself. And so now you can get answers to those questions. And so I just had to sit and ask. And then you have to do what's uncomfortable. What's uncomfortable? Sitting with yourself, watching a movie with yourself. Hey, so I wasn't a relationship person. So that wasn't an issue for me. I think for you, maybe detaching from those relationships and just being single. I mean, how's this season been for you?
It's
How long has it been?
It's been 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
So it's definitely been different. It's definitely been challenging. I feel like I'm in the latter end of it now, where I'm very content.
Yeah.
I'm very content. I don't feel that pressure of, okay, it's been like this for a minute. I think that's probably the extent of this single season. It's like, I'm gonna sit here.
Now, why would you say you're okay in it now? I have an answer. I would.
Why do I think I'm okay with it now?
What do you think has changed?
I just believe going into this episode, it really talks about it. I've just learned to appreciate me.
Yeah. Not needing the validation from others.
Not needing that validation. That's a really good description.
Because needing validation from men was a really big thing, and I never wanted to enter into a relationship, but I just needed to feel like you look good, you smell good, I like the way. So I know this season we're doing good, but it's like, no, go get that from who you know to get it from your creator.
I think that's a really great point that you're making. Yeah. My source of validation switched.
Where's it coming from? Yeah.
And so when I'm having this intimacy with the Father and I'm getting that validation, I'm thinking, oh, I don't need it from anyone else. And I feel complete.
And a lot of thing is, I don't need it from men, but also people who struggle with, I got to have 15,000 friends. I don't need it from my friends.
Sure.
I'm good. Sure. I'm good. I'm chilling with me and God. And we'll get into this, later on in the podcast.
But, we have to talk about it.
But we'll get into the adults and friendships and all that stuff. But that's where I think I want to end this here. I think we're good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that we talked about how we struggled. We talked about the solution, which is really a one step.
Yeah, it is.
One step beats all.
I would say, well, hold on. Let's say 2 steps. So the number one step is go get your validation from God. So go and get your relationship with God squared away. So just go and do that. And then number 2 is sitting in your uncomfortableness. Like you're going to have to go be uncomfortable in starting to learn and love yourself. It's going to be weird. You've gotten validation, and depending on your age, some people it could be 60 years you've been doing this, some 30, some 20, some 15, however long it is. If you're watching this podcast, the second step is going to be you're going to have to be uncomfortable, because that's where you grow.
Yeah, so that's that confrontation.
Yeah.
Of the uncharted place,
right?
And so I remember I had to do that too. I had to say, like, okay, taking everybody out of the picture, what do you like to eat?
Yeah.
What do you like to do?
Because you were so... I know I said, but you were so caught up in, like, if your man was a Jordan guy,
right?
Now you're Jordan all day.
Yes, I'm Sporty Spice, right?
Yeah, if my man is doing this, it's like now I'm just Thug Nasty.
Oh no,
he's just
Thug Nasty.
He's in the streets, he's living his life, and I'm like, I listen to a little Young Jeezy every now. It's like, all right, let's chill. Okay, that's his identity, and you're wrapping yourself in that. Why? Because I want his validation.
I want his validation. And you can do the same thing with friendships and family. And so, like we were saying, having that validation source shift from people to God. Yeah. Now it's like, if anybody says anything or does anything nice, I'm grateful. Right. I just don't need it.
That's right.
Right. And then that number 2 that you were sharing, I think that's really good, because I had to sit down. It was uncomfortable. Yeah. But then I said, okay, listen. Because I was like, oh, I want to go here. I want to travel. I'm like, you don't even really like doing this. Yeah. So I had to just click in my mind. Yeah. No, what do you like to do?
Exactly.
How do you spend your free time? What do you think about wellness and fitness? And so I really started getting into that self-awareness of, oh, this is who God created me to be. Yeah. And then now I'm just in that wave. I know you were asking, it's been about 3 years. Now I'm in this wave where I'm just unapologetically authentic.
Oh, I love that.
This is just me. So now I can show up any place, anytime, anywhere, with anybody, and be me.
Yes.
And not this me that I am creating to impress anybody. Yeah. this is just me.
Yeah.
So, I think that's an odd way to think. You'll hear comments like that, or why would you do this? It's okay if we don't agree. It's not a comparison. This is just me.
Yeah.
And it just takes the pressure off of life.
It does.
Just show up as you. So you don't have to overthink outfits or overthink what you're going to say I'm going to show up as me.
Yeah. I love that.
I love it. I love that. What is that? I love that for you.
Loving that for you.
I like this episode. I think that people will really be able to hone in.
Yeah.
And just have that self-reflection with them and God.
Yeah.
And a lot of things will change from there.
Yeah. So let's get uncomfortable, guys.
Yeah.